Act 1. Who am I? Hello everyone, my name is Sevens. Here's a little bit about me to help inform if you should play this amazing game called Path of Exile 2. So I have played a wide range of games, including action RPGs like Path of Exile 1. This video will be specifically about Path of Exile 2, but I figure that having some context about PoE 1 will be important as well. As of the making of this video, I've spent around, oh my goodness, 1,131 hours in PoE 1, having played several different leagues. Essentially, leagues in PoE 1 and those that will probably show up in PoE 2 come in the form of specialty content that comes out every few months. They last a little bit. They add unique mechanics, all that jazz. And then when the league ends, your character moves to standard and a new league starts and you make a new character. As for PoE 2, I have played around 123 hours, and I do continue to play it because I really do enjoy this game. Now that we have that squared away, if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, alright, all the YouTuber stuff is done. Let us get started with Path of Exile 2 and should I play it? Act 2. What is Path of Exile 2? So, Path of Exile 2 is an action RPG. Right now, it is currently in early access, which means that not all the content will be in the game, but there is a lot of content in the game, I won't lie about that. The main gist of this game is you kill enemies, they drop loot, and you help build your character. There's many different classes. I believe they said around 12. There's also subclasses known as ascendancies. So, for example, I am playing as a witch, that's my class, and my subclass, which is referred to as the ascendancy, is a lich. Going over that real quick, this is the lich, and when you ascend, you get these specialty nodes. Nodes are everywhere. I'll go over them in a second. But yes, so you pick your class, you can ascend. You can also get gear that can have different mods on them like this. It's pretty much like a puzzle solving game in many ways. On top of that, you can pick different skills. Right now I have a Spectre because I like running minions. And this is true with other skills too. But like you get a skill like this and the little bubble circles, the 4 of them you see in the little, tooltip, allows you to further support your skills, which adds a lot of customization. There's so much customization in this game, which is great. On top of that, going back to not this screen right here, we have the passive tree. It's huge. It's really big, and there's a lot of nodes on it. And for many new players, especially if you're coming from Diablo, this can be quite complex. Because I'm a witch, I start right here, and I can move anywhere. But the reason why I pointed out where you start is if you start, let's say, on the exact opposite side, it'll be a lot easier to path your way to like this node compared to starting over on this side and pathing from here down to this node. Each time you level up, as well as when you do certain quests, you will get a passive point, and you can, allocate them however you see fit. I would say what makes this game really unique is the massive passive tree, along with being able to choose different skills and supporting them with different support gems. Talking about gems and support gems, you can collect these items here, which are your skill gems, and you can essentially make different skills. And what's great about PoE 2 in particular is you can watch a video that tells you about the actual skill, like this.
Unearth is a physical area spell. If it kills a monster or hits a corpse, it summons a short-lived bone minion.
So there's a lot of that kind of customization as well. that I really like about this game. Moving over to the map, which best describes the campaign currently in early access, there are 3 acts. You have Act 1, which has many locations, bosses, and quests that you can do. Same with Act 2 and Act 3. Some of these even have underground locations as well. And then when you finish Act 3 in early access, you start all the way over with Act 1, and then Act 2 and Act 3. But the difference is the game is more difficult with these later 3 acts. The game constantly gets more and more difficult, but they recycle the acts for now, and they do plan on changing that in the future to carry along with the story. I like the story. Is it completely necessary if you just want to blast and level up and destroy things? No. But if you do like story, it is there. It is not like the most complex story, I would say, but it's still something pretty entertaining, and I like it. Once you finish the campaign, you will eventually get something known as a waystone. Also, this is the community calls them maps or whatever, but waystones. And I've not unlocked the in-game content for this character yet, but essentially you get these waystones, you plug them in a map, they will have different mods on them, and you can make them more difficult or less difficult, however you see fit. And that all helps you get better rewards, and you can navigate this massive map and fight unique pinnacle bosses and explore and get more loot and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of in-game, and I know that when this game comes out based on Path of Exile 1, that the in-game is going to be really robust. Now, talking about gear, because a lot of people like to play games because of the gear, there's a lot of different items and things that you can get. But one common mistake that I feel like new players make to Path of Exile is, let's hover over this item in particular, the Necromantle Bone Raiment. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Alright, so, it's got some nice perks and mods and things, and it gives minions, which you would think would be quite useful for me, chaos resistance, which is a damage resistance, and gives them energy shield, and they can revive fast and all that stuff. And that can be really good. But the thing to keep in mind in Path of Exile 2 is that item crafting can make an item better than just a unique item like this one, like this item right here. Now, I'm not saying that this applies to every item that you craft, but it can. The game uses currency differently than other games which just use gold to buy and sell things. You can use gold to buy things from vendors, but there's in-game currency that you can collect from killing monsters and things that can do certain things. So, looking at this blue avian mask of the Cloud helmet, for an example, this is considered a magic item. I'm not going to go into every single detail about crafting, but essentially, if this was a common white item, it wouldn't have many useful perks or anything. But right now, it has +6 to lightning resistance. I can use the Orb of Augmentation, which is a currency item, to allow this item to gain a new blue modifier on it. Boom, now it has +93 to maximum life, and that's really nice. But I can also use a Regal Orb to take this magical item and turn it into a yellow or a rare item. They're both the same, but, yellow item, rare item. It's yellow. Okay, so here we go. Boom. Now it's yellow. And so now it gained another mod on it, making it even better. But this game is all about RNG, so you won't always get good mods. You might get bad mods, and a lot of people want really particular mods in order for an item to be good. So you might run into a situation where you think you have something good, but it's actually not all that good. And the scale of what is good is not as simple as like, oh, it's a unique item, it must be good. Oftentimes, unless the unique is super fundamentally game breaking, or a lot of people are trying to use a particular build that for a specific league, Oftentimes, even a rare item, not saying this one, can be way better and more valuable than a unique item. It just depends. On top of that, when we were talking about waystones, you can even use the currency on a waystone to make it even more difficult, which can be useful for getting more items. Increased pack size now means that there's more enemies, so more enemies means that there's more loot that I can get. Okay, so although the game is in early access, right now it is going through sort of a league, kind of. Path of Exile 1 had more leagues, and as I said, you know, they have more specific content in those leagues, and then when a league ends, your character moves to standard. The same is kind of happening right now. A new league has come out for PoE 2, and so when this league ends in a few months, then there's probably going to be another one, and then you make a new character, and you run through the campaign again, and then you go through in-game again as well. Act 3. Is the game easy? Simple answer is no. The game is not easy. I do not want to sugarcoat it. If you're coming from a background of playing Diablo or Diablo-like games, then yes, it'll be slightly easier to understand. But because of the nuance of what is considered a good item and the complexity of leveling up and the different passive tree options that you can take, along with all of the different skills and support skills that are in the game is not necessarily easy. The 3 areas that I would say make this game the least easy would be currency, like we just talked about, where you can use it to change items that you get and make them stronger. The next area would be how you can really die in so many different ways. Pulling up the character sheet for a moment, hopefully my minions will keep me alive. I'm not going to go over everything, but if you look right here where it says fire resistance, let's pretend I take some fire damage, right? Okay, so if I take some fire damage and I have 76 fire resistance, then if I take 100 fire damage, this is an oversimplification, it will reduce the damage by 76%, which sounds amazing. But there are some creatures in this game that will hit really, 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 really hard. So 76 won't be all that much. So you need to find out other ways to mitigate the damage you take. This could be done in armor, maybe not towards an element, but you know, it could be through armor, it could be through evasion, it could be through blocking. You can get some energy shield, which is like this blue thing right here. There's a lot of ways that you can mitigate damage, which just adds more to the complexity of the game. And then the final category, as we talked about, is the passive tree. The passive tree is quite daunting for new players. There's endless choices, and for some players, that can be really, really amazing because, oh my goodness, there's endless choices. I want to make a witch character that uses melee weapons. You could do that. But the problem is, again, the tree is really, really complex. So there's that you have to worry about. Act 4, how is the community? Okay, so I might receive a little bit of dislike from what I'm about to say. And for context, I play a lot of games in which the communities I'm a part of, either directly or indirectly, are quite nice. You know, I come from Oxygen Not Included, and I play No Man's Sky. Especially No Man's Sky's community is really, really nice and considerate and stuff like that. Path of Exile, the community has been established for a while, similar to No Man's Sky, because the game has come out, or PoE 1 came out like in 2013. And so having all these years of playing PoE 1 and now moving into PoE 2, a lot of people have their views and stances on the game. They've played the game for a while. They know the inner workings of the game, which is great, but the problem is, with all of that experience and knowledge, it can be very intimidating for new players to be a part of that. I have found often that many new players might find that older players or seasoned players or whatever they want to call themselves can be quite judgy towards new players. that can be because of how they believe or know certain things about the game. On top of that, older players tend to only be out for themselves, I have found, or their close knit friend group or clan mates, things like that. And I'm not expecting, with this type of game, because you want to get the best loot and stuff like that, I'm not expecting people to just like give away expensive items. Like it's not that. But I have found, oh no, I might perish. Did I perish? No, I didn't. Thought I did. I have found though that the lack of like community and social support is kind of limited in Po 2 compared to other games that I've been a part of. But again, this is not everybody. There's a lot of really great content creators for Path of Exile that are very supportive and show like amazing builds and ways to be innovative. If I was going to start out brand new in Path of Exile 1 or 2, I would try and find new players first, actually, because then you can enjoy the game by learning together, rather than feeling that separation of someone who's played this for, I don't know, 10 years. And then once you've built up a ground work or foundation of understanding for the game, you can then move on to connecting with more experienced players to fine-tune your experience and just meet other interesting people. But yes, that is my view of the community. Again, this is not everybody, but from my experience, yes, the community is a little bit more difficult. I tend to avoid global chat, for example. Act 5, how is the performance? The TLDR is the performance of Path of Exile 1 is that the game can get kind of choppy when there's a lot of enemies and a lot of projectiles and things. And this does translate over to Path of Exile 2. However, it has gotten better as the game has been out. When the game first came out, I experienced crashes and things like that. But yeah, the game though runs pretty well. Path of Exile 2 runs pretty well. The system requirements, and I'm gonna try and multitask as I destroy these evil enemies while reading the Steam system requirements. The system requirements, and I do recommend following the recommended list, says 16 gigs of RAM, an RTX 2060 or an Intel Arc A770 or ATI Radeon RX 5600 XT, DirectX version 12, and then you want to have an internet connection and 100 gigabytes of storage space on a solid state drive is recommended. And then I don't think I said CPU, but the CPU is an Intel Core i5 10500 or an AMD Ryzen 5 3700X. For context and for what you're seeing here, I currently run this game with an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X with an RTX 4070 Ti. Act 6. Is it fun? Yes, it is definitely fun. I definitely love Path of Exile 1 and 2. I'm having a lot more fun in Path of Exile 2, probably because everything is so new. Character customization is insane, and that's both a really, really good thing and a bad thing if it's something that's a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of challenge. There's a lot of inner working nuances and things that can be quite strange. The community, they do come up with really interesting builds and things that you can do as well in the game. And on top of that, the bosses that you can fight are a great challenge as well. In many ways with Path of Exile 2, the bosses feel a lot like I only played Elden Ring, but it feels like that too, where it's like they make telegraph movements and you have to consider how you want to tackle a specific obstacle. Oh my goodness, okay. But yes, those are the main, oh, and the passive tree. Those are the things that I really like about the game. Act 7, what are some negative things? I kind of touched on them already. The community is probably the biggest negative thing for me, at least. Beyond that, as I touched on earlier with the passive tree, that and the inner working support gems and all that can be quite confusing for new players, so that might be a negative thing. But in general, if you can get over those two things, the rest of the game just is insane with what you can do. So those would be the only negative things I would really point out. Now, some final notes about the game that are worth pointing out is, and this is likely going to happen as the game continues to evolve, but I'm mostly quoting from Path of Exile 1, is the whole thing about microtransactions. So the simple thing is, aside from early access pass that you have to pay money for, aside from that, you do not need to spend money on this game. Like, you flat out, you don't need to do that. There are microtransactions in the game, and some of them, oh my goodness, these enemies just won't stop. Some of them are for like just cosmetics to make yourself look cool and stuff, and they often come out with supporter packs and things, which cost like $30, $60, and $90 to get, and it'll give you certain skins and things that you could put on your armor, but it'll also give you the special currency that you can use to buy other microtransactions, or save it. I recommend saving it. If you get any of the currency, save it until there are sales. There are often sales, and you can use it to buy either cosmetics or the other type of microtransactions that are in this game, which are things that make the game a lot easier. I will now show you what those are. Hold on. That's important for new players to be aware of. So because there's so many items that you can get in your stash, you're going to have a very limited stash. I believe you're only going to have like 4 tabs if you've bought nothing in the game. Some of the tabs themselves, you need to use the in-game, not the in-game, but like you need to buy currency in the game with real money to allow you to then like go and sell these items. So right now these items are being attempted to be sold to other people. There's also these specialty tabs that, again, you have to use real money, and then it can organize all of your currency that you can earn. Yes, you can just store them here, but the problem is if you run out of space, right? And you probably will run out of space with all the stuff you can get. And then there's other tabs as well, like essence tabs. And there were a lot of other tabs in PoE 1. So this is probably going to be something that'll happen in PoE 2 as the game expands. Looking at the in-game shop, this is kind of sort of what it looks like. And then they oftentimes will have sales right now. In fact, they're actually having different tab sales right now. So yes, they can go on sale. Generally, I feel like the stash tabs at least go on sale once a month. You can probably get away once the game is free to play out of early access, and this is what I did in PoE 1. You probably only need to spend like $30, and I would recommend getting a supporter pack, assuming all this works the same way in PoE 2. You get a supporter pack, you'll get some of this coins up here in like the top left, and then you can use this to buy the tabs that you really need. But again, this is all coming from what I did in PoE 1. The tabs that they currently have available that I would recommend getting would be the currency stash tab, upgrading one of yours, because it's cheaper to just upgrading one of your regular tabs into a premium tab so you can sell stuff. The map tab was quite nice, and the essence tab was good. Everything else, though, in terms of what's at the shop tends to be microtransactions just for effects and things like that. Kind of like how I have a giant, toad thing over there, and that cat is also mine, hanging out with my toad friend, I guess. But yes, that should cover all of this. If you are a Path of Exile 1 or 2 player and you're well experienced and all that jazz, and you have anything that can be very helpful for new players, like really brand new players, please leave a comment below. If you are considering getting this game and you have any other questions, please let me know, and I will try and answer them the best that I can. Again, all of my critiques and things are from my own personal experience playing the game, and I imagine that everyone's beginning journey of the game, both Path of Exile 2 as well as Path of Exile 1, is different, and so I'm just one guy saying how my experience was. I like the game, community is a bit tough, game is a bit complex, but it's still fun if you like solving problems. In a weird way, because it's a fighting game, but it still scratches that same itch I got with solving problems. Alright, enough talk. I'm Sevens, and I'll see you guys in the next one.